can score and never fatigued when they have the ball in their hands, right? But he's a fabulous player. Like Trey Kaufman-Renn has really helped him and has really improved himself and helped his cause. But going against like Mara is a little surreal, you know. But I'd prefer guys like that to be on our team.
It felt like when TKR was in with first, you had TKR in more of like a flat hedge or even just switching, and then when you had him in with Heidi, it's more of a deep drop. What's kind of the thought process behind having those two separate schemes based on personnel?
It was what they were running. We messed it up a couple times. So we played out of, we have a name for it, but it's not important. When they went to like their chin action where they cut through, which they don't do a lot of, when they did that, we just tried to hold that guy there. So when he came off the ball screen, we just dropped, and then we switched it up top. So when they went into their flat ball screen up top, we wanted to weak it and send it to their weak hand. And then when they were going to go Spain, are you speaking my language? Okay. And when they wanted to go Spain, right there, we just brought our guy up and switched it up top, and then we dropped our 5. But we wanted to make sure the 5 greeted the 5 diving, so he wasn't getting a deep post up at time. That's why you saw Bilodeau get that kind of a 10-foot right there. He can make that, and we wanted to have an early hand with him right there. But we just didn't want Andrews and Sebastian Mack attacking Trey. We wanted to keep that out of there. They exited. They sent it the other side in the second half a couple times, so we had to stay right there, then drop out of it. You saw them snake it a couple times and get us. And that if they would have stayed the same side, we'd have been fine in our drop. But when they snaked it, we dropped back like we were going to go Spain. And now that created the space to be able to to be able to snake. So then we switched at the end of the game and told him to touch his shoulder. And when he exited out of it, we would still stay with it like we did, because you just can't ignore that when he goes to the other side. So when we weak it, we keep it to that side, okay? So now we come up into it that way. Well, he exits the other way. Now we told that other guy to hold in cover 2 to play that if he went and took it. So he took it and they went out of it. Our guy in cover 2, you got to come high in cover 2 and force him to throw it to the corner, because that's why you see all those wing to corner 1-mores. You got to eliminate it, so they got to 1-more and invert it, but throw it to the corner. But when you throw it to the corner, that's hopefully more time. Then you X out of that in your rotation, then everybody has to come over to it. So then once we got to that and we knew the exit, so we called off what we were doing, and then we played it flat, but we touched his shoulder to take the space so they wouldn't get that. Make sense? Well, you guys cover the damn sport. I mean, he said he was speaking my language. Yeah. So, yeah. But it goes into it because each guy is different. So, like, if you don't have somebody that as a 5 that can swallow up the ball, they see more. And so, like, people just think, like, you'll see people that tweet things or talk things basketball, and it's personnel, right? Like, if Derrick Rose has the ball, it's different than a normal college player having the ball. Like understand that. Like, understand, like, people that can roll and get flip-up dunks, they're different than people that can't roll and get flip-up dunks. People that, like, are gigantic, like Mara, like, you got to understand they're different. And you can't let them get into operating areas. Like, Mara needs to be at 12 feet and keep him there, because when he gets to 6, you're at his mercy, right? And so, like, now when you go into the game and you do stuff, like, everybody looks at things, and, like, when you struggle, like, you should do this, you should do that. I want to keep Trey Kaufman-Renn and Braden Smith on the floor, because I feel like that's our biggest disadvantage if they're not playing. You can, like, tonight, like, how does the game happen if they both get in foul trouble? Like, how does it, like, right? So, like, sometimes when you do things, you got to be careful, because at times I used to always high hedge. We'd knock it out, we'd push you back, but we'd always get 2 fouls when we came up in high hedge. I don't want Trey Kaufman to foul. He already fouls on his own, right? So, like, I can't do that. I can't, and so sometimes it's easy to look at something and say, man, you should do this. I feel the same thing. But I know that's probably going to generate a foul from him, and I want to keep him in there, because at the end of the day, if we take care of the ball and we execute offensively, we make ourselves a better defensive team. It's not an end-all, be-all, but it does help us, and the numbers prove that. So.
Just your sideline mannerisms in a game like this. Is that something you've had to think about over the years? And I mean, you stay pretty stoic.
Yeah.
Is that a choice?
It's a choice, yes. I'm not always stoic. Yeah, it comes in time. I just jumped, when I first started, I just jumped over the fight too much. I was too emotional. That's why I changed it to football and how, like, Sasha has out-of-bounds plays, PJ has offense. We split the scouts between Terry and Paul. B always handles personnel, because I want everything to be clear. I want everybody to know what they're supposed to do. I don't want that back and forth with 4 different opinions from 4 different people. Let's set our standard. Let's set how we're doing things, but let's work on things. Like when we get in June and July, like we practice. We practice because it's the most important thing. If you're a good player, like, you're going to work on your game because this is how you got here. But, like, you need to know what's going on. Like, you need to know those types of things. So at the end of the day, like, we're always like, hey, let's do our job. Let's do our job. We started in June. Like, we worked in July. We got back to school in August. First day of school in August, we practiced 2 hours. They give you 4 hours. A lot of time, right? So they give you 4 hours. We practice twice a week for 2 hours until we get to regular practice. So many times when you get on them, I just want them to know, like, what they're doing more than anything. So I don't need to go back to things. You know what you're doing. You're an intelligent person. You got, admitted into Purdue. Like, you know your job, man. Do your job and have fun with it. And so, but I know this, when I'm stressed out and I get worked up and I do things, they're stressed out. I want them to have fun. I want them to play. I want them to be on edge. So sometimes you got to be able to get them and flip them, but that's really my personality. It's not always my competitive personality, but that's really my personality. So, but if you just dive into being yourself, like, now you're off, the authenticity of it really helps, and that's what really you want them to do. You want them as people, like be yourself. It's okay. Like, don't worry about anything. Like, as long as you're not doing stupid shit, like be yourself. Like, and I think that really helps them grow, and it kind of empowers them. Doesn't kind of empowers them, it does empower them.
Can it be important to a team's psyche when, like, the same things were kind of happening? You were up 10 in the first half, it got away, and then the first 10 minutes of the second half, they're shooting 75% like the last couple opponents did, and then your guys beat it back.
Right.
Can that be important to a team's psyche when you see it all happening again and then you just respond differently?
No question, no question. Like, we haven't, played well in the second half. We've also played good teams. And some of it was self-inflicted, some of it was other teams playing well. Probably a combination of both. But yeah, anytime you get back somewhere where you had success, then you have struggles, and now you have success again, it's good because you can't worry about everything. You just simply can't. But you gotta worry about yourself. Like, you gotta be able to say, hey man, we're in competition. Like, here it is. Like embrace that. And embrace those tough moments, because that's what makes you special.
You already mentioned before, Cam with 9 rebounds in 12 minutes in the second half. Just how did that feel, or was that individual response to that accountability and that embracing the toughness that you're
Yeah, I thought he had 3 opportunities in the first half to make similar plays that he made in the second half, and he didn't. A couple of weak sides, a couple of rebounds, got his hand on one basketball that he had to get. And, like, we talked to him about those things. We talked to him about this week. It's just like, you got to be able to embrace that physicality, especially in work downhill, and go rebound and get possessions for us. We didn't just say it to him. We said it to everybody. But I thought he was great. It was one of those things that kind of like Miles at Indiana. Like, it made more sense for him to be on the floor. It made more sense for Cam to be on the floor. And so, like, I think it's the ultimate compliment when you come off the bench. Is like when you force the coach to play you. And we were better with him in there. And I thought he did a really good job of giving us a spark. Thank you.